Hello, I'm with you with another ielts sample essay. So in that essay, that essay designed not just for the ielts, that graph taken from World Bank Toyota. So the graph compares the GDP per capita cost of a Toyota Camry, I'm not sure how to pronounce, and approximate length of time it takes for one citizen to purchase that model of, I think, means model of transport in 8 Asian countries. 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. There are too many information, but no worry because it's not real IELTS task and it is impossible to emphasize every significant information, and don't worry about that. And yeah, despite having the second lowest average yearly income, it costs more to buy this car. Okay, this car in Vietnam than in all but one another Asian nation. It also takes significantly longer for a standard person to buy an automobile in Vietnam than in other state in Asia. On the other end of the scale, Singaporeans have to pay nearly 3 times more for their cars than the Vietnamese. That 3 times. I heard that IELTS examiner likes that type of words, vocabulary in IELTS task 1 than the Vietnamese, and it takes them the least amount of time to afford a motor vehicle. It costs to buy a Toyota Camry in Vietnam, but this dwarfs. Okay, I think if there's a problem with that writing, the problem is the writing talking just about Vietnam like it's his country. I think there's no other mistake. I'm not sure it's a problem. It is but okay, let's keep reading. But this derives the average yearly income per person at just 1,910. It will therefore take a normal man or woman 26 years to save up for that particular car. This is in contrast to Singapore, where it costs 126,245 for that model of motor car. However, the average salary is much greater at. This means that it generally takes just over 2 years for a typical individual from Singapore to acquire this vehicle. So even 200 words are used in that essay. I think this is not the problem of person who write that. It's problem that there's no way to summarize everything because there are so many information. Okay, let's emphasize important. Okay, so as you see, okay, first of all, let's look at our graphic. So there are car price, that one which look like dollar is car price. GDP per person, estimated time it takes per one person to buy a car. So in Singapore, you can buy too many cars in all your life. So it is, but in Vietnam it's opposite. So in that task, in that sample, Singapore and Vietnam compared. But yeah, and also be careful that the writer used in 8 Asian countries. So if writers try to write all of the countries, it will take so many times. So, and as examiner possibly think that, so just wasted your words, wasted your time while writing that, and try to artificially increase. I don't know, maybe it will just take your time. So let's evaluate try to I'm not a professional, but let's try to evaluate that writing based on its complexity. Okay, probably a native speaker write that. So the first sentence is quite complicated. The graph compares the GDP per capita cost of it. An approximate length of time it takes for one citizen to purchase that model of transport in 8 Asian countries. If someone can, yeah, it looks, what kind of, it's not very good. Okay, okay, oh, complicated. Despite having the second lowest average yearly income, it costs more to buy this car in Vietnam than in all but one other Asian nation. It also takes significantly longer for a standard person to buy an automobile in Vietnam than in any other state in Asia. On the other end of the scale, Singaporeans have to pay nearly 3 times more for their cars than the Vietnamese, and it takes them the least amount of time to afford a motor vehicle. Okay, quite complicated too. Okay, and also all sentences are complicated, so let's emphasize as writing task 1 related vocabulary lowest despite having the second. Despite is possibly important too. It costs more to buy this car in Vietnam than in all but one other Asian nation. It also takes significantly longer for a standard person to buy an Singaporeans have to pay nearly 3 times. So I heard that it's important to emphasize if you see such things. Singaporeans have to pay nearly 3 times, nearly 3 times more for their cars than the Vietnamese, and it takes them the least amount of time to afford a motor vehicle. Okay. This is in contrast to Singapore. This is in contrast to Singapore, where it costs. However, the average salary is much greater at that number. This means that it generally takes just over 2 years for a typical individual from Singapore to acquire this vehicle. Okay, it looks perfect. So let's look at how the subjects. Okay, wait, let's clean it first. Okay, also be careful to paraphrase subjects. So citizen and in another, Singaporeans, okay, Singapore, a normal man or woman. So you also have to, if you also change the subjects, if you paraphrase them, it looks better, not boring essay, as I learned. Okay, thank you for listening me, and have a nice day. See you in another IELTS lesson. Actually, it is not a lesson. Actually, we are learning together. It was our concept. Because I'm not a professional, I'm just a student. Okay, have a nice day.